right, you're listening to Strange Talk Radio. I am Jordan.
I'm Kelsey.
I'm Dan.
Dan the man. He's our special guest tonight for our very first episode of this.
Well,
I'm the ghost with the most.
So I guess maybe we should explain this isn't really the first episode of this.
Explain what people are listening to and how they're listening to it.
So we used to do this show a long time ago online, so this isn't technically the first episode, but it's the first new episode in about 4 or 5 years now.
Yes, that's right.
And we basically just enjoy talking to other people about, weird, creepy, and strange things, which is why it's called Strange Talk.
Exactly. So the topics can range from anywhere from ghosts, UFOs, to
Bigfoot's
conspiracy
ghost.
theories, whatever it is, just as long as it's strange.
Yep.
Yes. Gnomes. A lot of gnome talk. We're going to have a lot of gnome talk.
There needs to be more gnome talk in the world, really.
Yeah.
And then later on in the episode, we'll all be getting Illuminati.
Oh, shit. There's our first cuss word.
That's it.
And we're done here.
I told you guys it'd be a bad idea to bring me in on this.
Yeah, it is.
Well, that's why we're pre-recording.
Right. Eventually live. We might be doing this as a live show in the podcast, but what you're hearing right now is definitely pre-recorded, chopped and screwed, remixed. Yeah. But what we'll be doing is kind of an open format, switching it up, taking interviews with local musicians and hearing about their ghost stories.
Or their lack of ghost stories if they're skeptic.
Exactly.
We like debating with people.
Yeah. It is, I don't know, let's start out by introducing our realm of skepticism. I'm a very skeptical person, but I love paranormal stuff.
I'm actually in that same realm where I'm very skeptical, but yeah. I really love this.
You
all
have
of this
to
stuff. Be. You have to be. I mean, otherwise you fall for, oh, what is it? It's actually, but you thought it was Bigfoot. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, most of the time, for me, the journey of the explanation is more interesting than the awe of the experience of paranormal, which is fun, but I like things being explained, especially things that are weird.
I think it also is just if you are into anything like that in the paranormal, you need to almost be a fence rider, because you can manifest things into existence just because you're looking for them, or you can rationally interpret a situation and try to get to the bottom of whatever it is that
right. I mean, the human mind is an extremely powerful thing, and I think most people's experiences, especially visual, are from hallucinations. But maybe I will be proved wrong in the experience of doing the show.
I want to believe.
Yeah.
I want to.
I want to believe.
You're listening to Strange Talk via Radio Artifact on 1660 AM.
So, let's talk about some paranormal news around the world to start us off. The first thing I want to talk about that I've been seeing pop up is the explosion of Mothman sightings in Chicago. Have you guys heard about this?
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about it.
Mothman.
Yeah.
He's the Mothman.
I actually, we were discussing earlier, I was just in Point Pleasant like 2 weeks ago, for the second time this year, actually. Yeah, we actually, when we were out there, we were kind of coming up with our own theory about what happened because we started learning about some of the history of the town, and apparently, way back in the day, they killed this Indian chief called Cornstalk is what his name translates to in English, and we started coming up with this theory. He cursed the town because they killed him and his family.
I didn't know about any of this. Was this in the movie?
No, it wasn't. This is stuff we figured out while we were in the town, and we started thinking about this.
Maybe we should explain to the audience that for those who are unfamiliar with Mothman is...
Yeah, so Mothman is this, I mean, actually kind of more of like an owl-like man than more of a moth, really.
Yeah, he's like a tall, winged humanoid that doesn't really have a neck. It's just kind of like
it just hunches over. It's kind of hunchback. Yeah. And so it's been seen all over the world, really, but it got popularized in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. There was this bridge, the Silver Bridge there, that collapsed. And a bunch of people theorized, because I saw it like around that time, they theorized that either it made it collapse or that it was an omen that it was going to collapse. And so a lot of people kind of theorized that it might be like some kind of angel of death.
Harbinger of destruction.
Some people say it was seen before Chernobyl happened.
Yeah, and also people have seen it before 9/11, or I've seen some photos or videos. I don't know how accurate they were, but there were sightings apparently.
I mean, Mothman is directly responsible for 9/11.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows that, dude. Just trace the money trail.
That's dirty money.
Yeah, he had he took out a huge insurance policy right before it collapsed, which actually did happen with the guy that owns it. But we don't have to get into 9/11. We'll have it.
Wait, are you saying he is Mothman?
That is exactly what I'm saying.
Oh. So that's another conspiracy theory that we've just uncovered. But yeah.
Well, so what's going to happen to Chicago is what I'm saying. Because it's all clustered around the same area. Like, one of the sightings was a cop and, quote-unquote, amateur journalist or something. That's what I heard. It was
so people who were credible.
Theoretically credible. And they're like, yeah, we saw this winged Mothman guy. And actually, I got right here an account. I'm going to read.
Ooh.
Or actually, Dan, why don't you read it?
You know I don't know how to read.
All right. It was 7 feet tall, and instead of clothes, it looked like a giant half man, half bird kind of thing. It reminded me of the character Bird Person from the show Rick and Morty. Yes. Only a lot scarier. This thing stared at me for about 15 seconds, which felt like an eternity, and then at loud whoosh, it unfurled its wings and screeched really loud and jetted into the air. These wings looked almost bat-like and were at least 10 feet across from tip to tip. I felt like this thing could see right through me, read me, and knew what I was thinking. Like it could stare right into my very soul.
Man, if you guys gave me sound effects right when that whoosh, you would have had an epic whoosh. Followed by some laughter and maybe a zingy laser beam.
The real epic whoosh is the one in your heart.
Yeah, so, I don't know, what, like a fucking, I don't know, is it a nuke that's gonna hit there or what?
I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, what seems like it's been going wrong in Chicago recently?
I mean, there's a lot of gang violence.
Yeah, besides being the highest gun
I don't know that Mothman's a harbinger of gang violence, though.
Let's read another account here. Billy Bance. He's got an awesome illustration.
That's a great illustration, actually.
That rivals the illustration of the leprechaun.
It looks like a demented Pac-Man, just like...
It's like Pac-Man meets Venus flytrap, but it's like kind of flattened.
Yeah.
It's like a football that got squished.
If we have the website up by the time this is aired, we'll put it on there. let's read what he said. Billy Bance. It looked like a flying Batmobile. It looks like you were trying to draw that. I was sitting in my semi-trailer at around noon.
Oh my gosh.
I saw this object coming from Route 55 in Cicero. I saw it gliding and not too fast. No sound. I saw it was not a drone and the size of a large car. It climbed higher and turned twice. I could tell you that it glided just like a bird. It almost went straight up and I lost it in the clouds. Bance believed this incident has affected his life. According to Bance, the more I speak of this, the worse my luck becomes. My mom died 3 weeks ago. I am not sure what to think at this point.
So I have heard that Mothman does, like, bad luck kind of follows it, where people who see it, like, bad things start happening.
Well, I mean, if it's like a black cat crosses your path,
Yeah, it
like,
seems
it's
like-
just gonna compound with a fucking Mothman.
Which, also, again, here, we're already getting conflicting reports. One person saying it's whooshing, the other person says it's dead silent. I mean,
it's selectively whooshing. I don't know.
Maybe it wants to be seen and heard sometimes. Maybe it's got
Yeah.
a stealth mode.
stealth,
Also-
stealth model of Mothman.
Mothman, isn't that like assuming its gender?
That is actually...
Don't be
What if-
cryptology. Cryptist, I don't know.
What if it's a moth woman? I mean, don't we
That
need
is
to give
true.
equal consideration?
Could be a moth
Well, do you
woman.
know how to tell on a moth?
Yeah.
Well, then, we need you to
You
go
put-
and see Mothman.
So let's talk about our next story. Headline here we got: it's world's first haunted object. 3D scanning project is confusing ghosts. Confusing ghosts. What?
They've tested it on ghosts.
This makes
They
producing
interviewed a couple
paranormally
ghosts and
active
they're like, I still
prints.
don't understand this.
I'm confused just reading that. The Traveling Museum of the Paranormal Occult, the world's only mobile museum of haunted artifacts, has launched the first ever initiative to 3D scan and compile a database of paranormally active objects.
Okay.
Oh, so it's just like... Oh, okay. So there's just a couple problems. The project is confusing the ghosts and producing haunted 3D prints. So the ghost is moving from a haunted object
To the 3D printed replica.
Interesting.
All right.
Okay.
So what does that say about objects that are haunted? It's not necessarily the thing. It's the like essence
of
and
it,
shape
yeah.
of what it is that it houses itself. It's confusing the ghosts.
That is not how I would think you would confuse a ghost.
Well, I mean, if it's a accurate 3D representation, you know, it's going to be 100% identical to whatever it's produced by. So
Let's read why they're claiming this. The inner skeptic in me wants to know. In hindsight, I guess we could have anticipated this.
Of course we could have.
of course.
Occult Museum Director Greg Newkirk says, but when it comes to working with haunted artifacts in new, unexplored ways, you never know what's going to happen. We're attempting something that's never been done before, laying the groundwork for future study of paranormally active objects. There are going to be quirks we can't see coming. All right.
Okay.
Some objects just don't want to be scanned. Matthew says, gesturing a large African idol with a history of causing intense nightmares, which they've nicknamed Billy. In case of
Wow,
Billy,
really
he
original,
kept
guys.
literally putting up a wall in front of his face every time we tried to scan it. We had to sit down and conduct an EVP session with him to find out he was just concerned about the scanning process. He didn't understand what we were trying to do with him.
I mean, if I was a ghost and I didn't know about this technology, I would also be, concerned about people scanning me. But
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Billy's
He's just-
concerns are
He
valid.
doesn't want to be tagged in Facebook, dude. He's like,
I
dude.
agree.
I mean, according to the Society for Paranormal Investigations, that would be a Class 2 location-based haunting.
Interesting. This is Radio Artifact on 1660 AM.
All right, so let's move on from that one. I don't know what to think about the 3D printed thing. There needs to be more evidence for that for me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess ghosts just can't adapt.
I mean, maybe they can. I don't know.
That's just what they seem to be insinuating, where they're just like, no, they don't like this. So.
I mean, I think if you are scanning a already like previously documented haunted object, you should probably understand that there's going to be some little quirks because you're disturbing an object that has a history of psychic turbulence. Like, what are you going to expect? Everything to go flawlessly?
But
it's
also,
interesting.
It's a mobile museum, which that's disturbing them constantly as well.
It's interesting that I don't know, it knows it's being scanned by technology. Like,
yeah.
Well, I mean, if it's, like one of the popular theories that ghosts are energy that have just been left behind or whatever.
Right.
And so by kind of introducing another form of energy into it. Yeah.
I guess you can get weirdly like into quantum physics with that, like if the state of it being observed or scanned or whatever.
It's going to change the outcome. Or...
All right, our next story here is Don't Touch the Black Angel. This cursed statue kills visitors to Iowa City's haunted Oakland Cemetery. Well, there's something in Iowa.
Always Iowa.
At first glance, you might be tempted to think of Oakland Cemetery in Iowa City as nothing more than your average suburban graveyard. But don't be fooled. It probably is. Tucked away inside its iron gates sits the Black Angel statue, a winged figure so menacing that anyone who dares to touch it is said to fall victim to one hell of a curse. The sorrowful 8-foot-tall statue watches diligently over the Feldevert family plot near the center of the cemetery. And according to the countless legends that surround the grave marker, if you fail to heed warnings and touch the faded black figure, you will die. No questions asked.
I have some questions, though, actually.
Has someone died that has touched it?
Has anyone died? Like, who?
Let's find out.
Yeah.
No.
No one's died. So the thing about this statue is they're saying it's very menacing, and it doesn't look menacing so much as it looks kind of sad. It kind of looks like it's crying.
Yeah, it looks like...
I mean, as far as cemetery statues go, it's...
to an RGB separation and desaturated, and it's like a vaporwave piece is what it looks like.
Yeah, that looks pretty standard for a cemetery, actually.
Yeah. I don't know, the haunted statues and stuff, it's whatever to me. Dan's pointing at an article. It says, watch rare footage from the world's first furry convention in 1989. The furry frontier.
Man.
Furries are kind of paranormal. We can talk about furries for a minute. Like,
that's one sexy ass Bambi.
It's like, for people who don't know what furries are, it's like when it's people that like to dress up and do animal costumes and go to cons together, and then sometimes it can get sexual and weird.
Like, this picture here is like a deer with like a BDSM outfit on.
Yeah.
Which is not anything that I would ever consider putting together, but...
I mean, I'm impressed by the amount of, like, detail that goes into it. I just don't understand, like... I don't know. It's like the heads. Like, they look like they belong. They're walking like they should be in a Chuck E. Cheese. Like, it's
and that's really what it is. Is it does not belong in that context? Is what it feels like. I mean, I guess do whatever you want to do, but it's just not my thing.
I psychologically get it. I can see how people can anthropomorphize themselves and like sexualize that, or just have a whole culture around it. It's weird, and it's, it's cool. It's whatever. I'm not gonna knock it.
Not gonna knock it, but not gonna try it either.
Yeah, I just don't. I got stuff to do.
Yeah.
The only time I see furries is at the Renaissance Festival, which is weird.
Do you see a lot of them there?
At the Renaissance Festival?
Really?
Every time I go, I see at least 2 furries. Or at least someone wearing the furry head.
Speaking of that, that's coming up soon. And,
that is coming up soon.
Like the first week of September is when it starts?
I think usually, yeah.
I wonder if there's any paranormal stories there.
I wonder if there are any haunted Renaissance festivals.
We could interview some people,
I think
that are working there in their accents.
I think most of them, though, are just sort of haunted by their past mistakes more than anything else.
That's why they work. Oh man, there's like some guy who works the Ren Fair right now, like pissed off.
I seem to get harassed a lot.
You
at
do.
The Ren Fair.
Really?
Some guy was trying to sell beard oil for
And like every time we walked by, it was just this big ordeal. He would single me out and be like, "Your beard, you right there, you need it." Please leave me alone. You're making me self-conscious about my awesome lumberjack beard.
Yeah.
Apparently, they just thought you would be an easy mark.
Yeah.
Got to you, though.
Something
It
about
did
you.
get to me. I tell my therapist that like at least 4 times a day.
Well, you know. We will be right back on Strange Talk.
Joining us in the studio now is Dracula.
I guess
I'm
maybe.
very helped.
I guess maybe we should have Dan tell us a little bit about himself and what he does, since part of this is also talking about local musicians.
Right.
So we should
that's
maybe
the thing we're gonna
have
do.
some of that info. Yeah.
Dan, who are you? Do I know you?
No, you don't know me at all.
No.
That's true.
You
we don't know
think
you at all.
but you have no idea.
Okay, so what should we know about you then?
Well, I'm in this local group called Relic, and don't ever come out to any of our shows because it's terrible.
I've heard you'll
It's the
lose your
worst.
eyesight if you go to their shows.
If you look directly at me while I'm playing, it's like a Medusa effect.
Yeah.
Just turns to stone, and then, you know.
I heard the singer is just a real prick.
He is. Yeah. I mean, he's one of the worst people to deal with.
Worst ever.
I've heard the drummer sometimes gets troll hair.
Yes,
Yeah.
he does. He gets like fire in his
I heard the
eyes.
singer looks a lot like me.
Yeah,
Sounds a lot
I've heard
like
that
me.
actually.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I've heard that some people actually theorize that you're the same person.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just crazy, right?
How
It's
could I-
another conspiracy
how?
theory.
Yeah. I don't know.
In Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah.
Maybe
Who
I
is
am.
Jordan Davis?
Who is he really?
No one cares.
Well, yeah. So, Dan, do you have any ghost stories?
Actually, I do.
Tell us something spooky that's happened in your life, or strange. I mean, it could be a strange experience in the
I
bed.
don't
We'll
think
take
we need
both.
to go into strange.
But let's go with spooky
Well,
first.
this one night, I was going back home with this girl. No, just kidding.
We'll go with spooky and then go with the strange story.
Actually, I have like a series of ghost stories from the old house that I used to live in. I grew up in Baltimore, and this house, I swore to God, was haunted, and no one would believe me in my family until something happened to my stepdad, and then that's when they started like kind of paying attention to things. My stepdad said that he literally saw like forks fly off the counter.
Just go.
Just go. And
Poltergeist.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
some
one
poltergeist
story that sticks out in my head is I was watching TV real late at night once, and
I already told me this.
yeah, the porch light would go on and off and on, off, on, off, and then the TV would do the same thing. It would off, on, off, on, off, on, and which, you know, you could probably chalk up to just some sort of electrical failure or something.
Diffuse, anything.
But the thing is that I had overheard my parents talking like 2 days before about how the porch light needed to be replaced. And the following day, I went up to my mom and asked her if anyone had replaced the porch light. And she said not to her knowledge. And it spooked me to the point where I got a ladder out of the garage, went and checked the light, unscrewed it and shook it, and the filament was in the bottom of the bulb. Like, it was a totally broken bulb.
So it shouldn't have been lighting up at all.
So it should not have been able to make light. That was pretty scary. And the one other time that like trumps everything was my parents were away, I was staying with my friend across the street. We were playing Pokemon,
Like you do.
And I forgot some of my Pokemon cards. So I had to go back in my house and get them. And I heard this knocking. And I dismissed it at first, but when I came back downstairs, it's just 3 loud knocks. I kind of turned.
I don't like knocking.
Put my head to the wall, and I knocked 3 times.
Don't knock back.
Right?
Don't knock back.
You
I knocked 3
goofed.
times back. Yeah, no, I done messed up. I waited for like 3 or 4 seconds, and then it was just like amplified. Just 3 knocks, even louder than the first time. I've never ran so fast in my life. I just ran. I was so terrified.
I mean,
didn't
that's
even know
probably the
what.
appropriate response.
Yeah. But at the same time, I wish that I was a little bit more like curious, because I've always been kind of obsessed with the paranormal and everything. I mean, it started from a very young age with Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, if you would ask me like what I wanted to do with my life, I would have said I wanted to be a Ghostbuster.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was completely terrifying. And
Well, it's never too late to follow his dreams, Dan.
right?
Do you still know where this
I'll do it
house
one
is?
day.
Can you go back and knock?
Oh yeah.
See what happens?
Oh yeah.
Might have to do a special and go back and
You
get some
might have
knocks.
to. Yeah.
Get some knocks.
Because when you knock back, that's like challenging it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
That's why it's like knocking back even louder. Like, oh wait, you're listening
Yeah,
to me.
exactly. And now anytime something weird happens, I kind of pause and, I think to myself, like, if you're here or if there is something here, like, do it again or make your presence known. Mm-hmm. And I wish I kind of would have had the cool head to just wait it out and kind of go further into it. But
Yeah.
as a kid, I just was terrified. Probably wanted to beat my friend at Pokemon. So.
Probably.
Did you get your cards? Or
I
did you
did.
run before
I did,
then?
but I did leave the front door wide open the entire night because I was not about to go back there.
You didn't grab your friend and have him go back with you just to close the door or anything?
No.
No, just
Nope.
left it. Yeah.
Well, I've got a few paranormal. The one that I'm thinking of is we're thinking of like haunted houses. When I was in high school, I had a class called something like fantasy sci-fi.
Fantasy stuff. I took that same
that's
class.
right.
Yeah.
Who did you have teaching that? Was it
Zinniger.
Zinniger? Yeah, Mr. Zinniger.
Mr. Zinniger.
If you're out there listening, you're a good man.
You're an awesome person.
Great teacher, good man. He taught
Yeah.
creative writing and started co-created, I think, that class with.
I think so.
Yeah.
With
This is at Loveland High School.
Yeah, we
in
both.
Cincinnati,
So actually, yeah, we both kind of grew up kind of in Loveland.
yeah, that's how we know each other.
Which, if any of you recognize that name, you probably heard of the Loveland Frogman.
Oh yeah, we'll have to do a whole special on that one.
Yeah, because I spent a lot of time as a kid looking for Loveland Frogman.
It's a cryptid. It's actually gained some traction on the internet is the thing.
Yeah, it's only like 4 feet tall is what's always killed me about the Loveland
Yeah,
Frogman.
That's still a pretty big frog.
Yeah, no, it's
it's a
really big
frog,
for a
dude.
frog, really small for a cryptid.
I hear Frogman, I can't help but just think of the episode of It's Always Sunny with
Oh God.
Frank Reynolds and the Frog Kid.
Yeah. So for a project we had to present something, and my sister was dating a guy whose grandparents had a house down in Kentucky that was like built on some crazy Indian battleground thing where a bunch of Indians died and were married or something. And so I went there to get some EVPs, investigate, get some stories, and the family there was telling me some crazy stuff. Like they would come home and exactly 13 of their family photos would be face down where they were sitting.
Wow.
One time they came home and just like the entire like side of this wall in a hallway was like ripped up where the T-molding was on the bottom, and like some piece of the wall and piece of furniture was just warped and bent like in a weird way, like something went down the wall, like a huge hand, and just like wrecked it. And they had stories where they would have they would wake up in the night to some people standing over them trying to strangle them or something.
Strangle talk.
The really creepy, strangle talk. That's what we're
Strangle
getting to
talk.
now.
Strangle talk.
The story in the basement, there was some cousin there, and she was washing her hair in a tub downstairs, and she was looking, as she was like kind of squeezing out the water, her head was sideways, and she was looking directly at the stairs going up to upstairs, and she saw a figure with like a torso, but there was no legs. It was just floating. And then she saw these two red eyes, and she said that she'll never forget it because it was the most menacing look anything has ever given her, and it was just pure evil. And she froze, and she had to run towards it to get out of the basement to go up the
that's
stairs.
the worst.
Yeah. And she, I don't know, the way she explained it really gave me goosebumps, because she was genuinely like, that was probably gave her PTSD. Like, she was about to break down crying, tell you a story.
I think that was a class 5 free roaming apparition.
Yeah. That's
Whole
exactly
body
what it is.
or torso.
But the interesting thing about the whole thing with the house is one year they had flooding, and they had to rip off the tiling on the floor in the basement, and they found a huge, like, it's not a pentagram, but it's like this huge circle, like, it was kind of a triangular thing.
Sort of like a
Painted
like
on
an
the ground.
Enochian kind of thing.
I don't know if it was a Nokian. It was really simple. I looked it up, and it was, I can't remember what, like, part of the occultism it was, but it was apparently a symbol for summoning demons.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's standard with a lot of houses nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't
Well,
do
actually,
that?
it's really it's a bonus feature. You usually have to pay extra for that.
Yeah.
So they got it for free because it was covered up.
Yes.
And in that room, they had this creepy, like, on the wall, this latched door, which opened up into this, like, tunneled crawl space. That was just pitch black.
Crawl
And I
spaces in
just popped my
general.
head into it for a second. It was just like, no,
Nope.
not gonna go in there.
Yeah, no, I'm not
I
going
have
in
to
there.
like crawl up into it. Like, it's not like I could just walk into it. I had to like crawl into it, and if I needed to get out quickly, I couldn't.
Yeah, that wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah, no, especially me being claustrophobic, anything like that.
No.
I'm not
So
going in
there
there.
was something like on top of the Indian stuff. There was some practice of something in the basement.
Yeah. That sounds like a house you don't want to go to.
Or live in, or
Well, you don't want to live it. Maybe go to,
Yeah.
but like you don't want to live there.
maybe
that's
one day
for
I'll
sure.
get in contact with those people again, and we can do a special on it. 'Cause
Yeah.
it was pretty cool. It'd be cool to get photos of it. I might have them somewhere on an old hard drive, but
So, yeah, I actually took that same class, and we had to do a report as well.
yeah.
And
What'd you do?
I actually did the Peters Cartridge Factory, more commonly known as like the powder factory to a lot of people
Oh,
around
right.
here.
I've actually did that building.
I've heard a lot of shit.
Oh, have you
about
actually
that.
got in there?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I've been around it a lot since I was a kid.
very dangerous at night.
Very, very dangerous. SWAT teams practice in there, so like it's really dangerous to go in there. It's a really interesting building, though. It's been around for a really long time. Obviously, they used to make firearm cartridges there, and it's got a lot of kind of tragic history. It's right along the railways, and there was one day some of the powder ignited, and it like exploded the train, and I don't remember how many people died, but it was a decent amount. During the Civil War, Morgan's Raiders went to destroy it, and they just got hopelessly lost. They just never found it, which that was the main supplier of Northern ammunition at the time. So, like, it's really lucky they didn't find it.
They have it really locked down now, don't they? Though, because I remember
They've got it really locked down. Like I said, SWAT team practices in there.
Yeah, it would have
I
to
think
be.
someone actually bought the building. And is
Someone
doing
bought it
something
now.
with
They're
it now.
trying to turn it into condos.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's
really?
still one section of the building you can get into. It used to be for years, at least when I was a kid. It was separate from the rest of the building, so they left it open. They had a haunted house in there one year, and they just kind of left it all up to rot. I went back there recently, and it's all gone. They cleared it out, but it's still open over there.
Well, I tried going once during like midday, and I just was parked out in front of it with a friend, and a cop pulled up immediately and was like, "No, you guys don't." You gotta
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you
They patrol it
immediately.
very heavily, unfortunately. They didn't used to.
I had friends that, you know, in high school said they went and got in, and because they have cameras in there, and that people showed up and there were dogs or something, and
Yeah,
everyone ran.
they don't keep dogs in there anymore, but you used to be able to hear them in the basement barking.
What? That's weird.
Yeah.
They just have dogs there, like ready to be unleashed.
Yeah.
What is there, like a villain living there? Like,
No,
release
they
the
just-
hounds!
I guess
Mr.
supposedly
Burns is just sitting there.
Supposedly what it is they think
like
that
Castlevania level.
they think that it's dangerous and that people are going to fall through the floors and get themselves killed.
Yeah, I mean,
Which,
the way
like,
that
yeah, that makes sense.
we got in.
So
we
let's
went
release
under-
hounds to eat them alive instead.
Right.
We'd rather them be eaten by dogs than fall through the floor and die. We don't want to be held liable for it, you know.
The way that we got in, we went under the bridge, that tunnel, which was probably the most terrifying part to be.
Was this in the middle of the night?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. And this was before like smartphones and everything. Like you didn't have a good source of light from your phone. You just had. I mean, we had like a couple flashlights.
The good old days.
Good old days.
You just see how to use your eyes.
Right.
Use your eyes.
Young whippersnappers these days.
Don't use their eyeballs.
But yeah, you get into the building and it's completely just almost like falling down around you. And there are just giant holes in the floor that if you don't have light, you could fall like 20 feet onto a concrete floor and die.
Speaking of like local places like that, I know that you, Kelsey, probably know about it, but have you heard of the poles in Grailville?
Oh, yeah. Is that technically considered Grailville? Because I've been out there and I never knew it was considered part of Grailville.
I thought it was. I don't know. I've only been through Grailville once in my life, and it was creepy. I did a lot of like in high school around there driving at night, and went to like Milford, and I don't know, the whole area. There's a lot of haunted history there and spooky
there's
places.
a lot there.
But for those who don't know, like the poles are deep in the woods. There's like these huge, almost telephone poles just randomly there, and
they're entirely telephone pole in shape, and they're all varying heights.
And it's like at the bottom of a hill in these woods, and at the top is like used to be it's a school now or something, right?
There's a school up there. There's also a nunnery up there that's still active.
I remember there was some spooky. There's something to do with women.
Across
women
from
were
the
raped
poles, there's a nun graveyard,
Yeah.
like a Christian nun graveyard, which is interesting because there's like I think there's some Buddhist prayer flags hung over the graveyard, even though it's a Christian
Buddhist.
nun.
That's weird.
Yeah, I always wondered about that. But it's right next to the rail, the poles there, and then there's also like these weird, sort of like Stonehenge. There's like 2 poles that go up and then one that goes across. There's 3 of those as you walk down to the poles, like sort of like gates to go into it. It's a weird place.
I went there with some friends. I was with 2 girls and a guy, and one of the girl was like military trained, and she was a badass. She wouldn't be afraid of anything. But we started going in the woods, and she flipped out. Both of the girls were flipping out really hard, and me and the guy were just like, "What's going on?" And we found out later that there was something with like, I don't know if it was the nun. It was something happened where women were raped or murdered or something, and it was interesting that the girls with us were really freaking out. I don't think it was because they're girls and they're scared. I think because it wasn't that scary. Like it was just like,
it's not a very scary
we're
place.
In the woods,
it's eerie, but not
they
scary.
both collectively were like, no, we're feeling
Something's
something
wrong
really
here.
weird. She got out her gun, which had like a. I don't even know what she had her gun on, but it had like this flashlight. She had it all, like ready to go. We heard like dogs barking. I'm like, you're gonna shoot some farmer guy out here. We're all gonna be in trouble.
Well, it's actually kind of in the middle of nowhere, which is the good part. It kind of overlooks the river, so there's not a whole lot of people just wandering out there. The first time I ever went out there, it was the dead of winter, about 3 a.m. Me and 2 of my friends decided to walk out there because I'd never been out there, and we were like, it's 3 a.m, let's go do something fun. And so we knew we were alone out there because it was, like I said, it was the middle of winter. There was snow on the ground. All we could hear was us just like crunching through the snow out to this place. And we got out there, and like, it's really, really eerie. Like, I didn't find it terrifying. I didn't feel like I needed to leave like your friends maybe did, but it's very eerie out there. It just feels like that shouldn't necessarily be there. And we were also, there's sort of
I heard there's like this weird gate thing that like you can. The legend is if you pass through it, your soul is forever.
Yeah, like I said, there's those 3 gates that go down to it.
So there's gates. That's weird.
I've never walked under them. Maybe that's the problem. I don't know. There's also like this.
You're doomed.
There's this storage place like
doomed.
before you start going down the path. And my friend Megan, that was with me at the time, I guess her dad used to be a janitor actually at the nunnery there. And so we were gonna go and see if he maybe still had the keys or something to try to go in there, but it never ended up working out.
That would be
Unfortunately,
cool, actually.
I know, I was really excited about it. It just never ended up working out.
Yeah.
But,
Well, maybe one day we'll have to go there.
yeah,
I'm totally unfamiliar. I've
An
never heard
expedition
about
funded
this.
by the
we'll
government.
take you to the polls. It's really, really interesting. Really interesting place. I've taken a couple of people
There's
out
no
there.
hellhounds down there
I guess.
getting released on you.
Should we experiment and go through the gates, I guess, and see if we get trapped there forever?
I'm down. I don't have a soul to
I think it'd be cool to go with like
get rid of, so.
similar, like what is it, an EMF? Or what is the?
EVP?
No, what's the thing that see on the TV
EMF,
shows.
electromagnetic field.
Yeah, an EMF, like you can see if it's more responsive through the gates or not. And
Yeah, because there's no
Maybe
real
see if they
electrical
lie on,
lines
like-
out there.
Maybe if it's like on a ley line or something.
Oh, it could be.
Geiger counter.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I don't know. Radiation could exist in the paranormal
We should touch base with like some of the ghost hunters out there and see if they want to come out there with us. Because I feel like not too many ghost hunters, I feel like, actually know about that place. It's sort of more of a local thing
It's
where
like, it's a local high
the
school
teenagers
thing.
hang out there, you know.
That's where they sacrifice the kids. And
Yeah. I did have a friend of mine decide to climb the poles once because they get like steadily taller as they go up. They never did make it quite to the top, but they did almost fall, which was kind of funny.
you know, he
yeah.
did.
My friend tried to climb the poles. He almost died. It was hilarious.
Would have been better if he died, and then we could have like gone interviewed his ghost.
Right.
Yeah,
You got someone on the
what's up,
inside.
bud, dude. Like,
we've got
what's
someone on
going
the
on
inside.
here? Like,
I know a guy who knows a guy. Don't worry about it.
You're listening to Strange Talk on Radio Artifact, 1660 AM, and online streaming in Northside, Cincinnati.
So we got some developing breaking news. It's coming up right now on our fancy news breaking device. Developing multiple U.S. diplomats evacuated from Cuba after a mystery sonic attack caused traumatic brain injuries from CBS News. It happened today.
Ooh.
It's not so breaking. It happened at 4 p.m. But still, it's breaking to me.
Breaking to us.
What the hell could that... what could... What could that be?
Oh, sorry. There is a GIF of.
We're looking at a Twitter feed that it's just.
Never look at the comments.
There's a screen cap of Street Fighter 2 of Guile doing Sonic Boom. It's good. I like that.
I think that's there's a dead whale.
Oh yeah, how the dead whales continue washing
Yeah.
up. So I wonder, do they think this is like a psychic attack or something?
Oh, why are we reading these comments?
Never read the comments.
And there's Eric Cartman,
There's Eric Cartman
getting
getting butt probed by an alien.
probed by aliens with a giant talking taco in the
A
background.
smug Sonic the Hedgehog.
There's Sonic reactions to everything every time.
Yeah.
Why do people keep posting the dead whales that kept turning up? Is that related somehow?
The person says Sonic infrasound blowing brains out of whales.
You're blowing my mind, man.
Just blowing their brains out.
No, I just say nuke the whales.
So what, is this like
Just do it.
HARP technology? Like
I don't
which
know.
is the HARP, for those that don't know, HARP's like the government project of I forget what it stands for. It's
Harp?
yeah, look it up, Dan. It's their like branch of controlling the environment as a weaponized force or something, and maybe they figured out a way to control the sonic barrier to
Good old government always
cause
trying to
blow
weaponize
brains, man.
everything.
Blowing brains in Cuba.
I'm getting HARP loan program. I don't think that's it.
A sonic attack. Oh, that's why there's a smug Sonic. I just never got it.
I get it. Yeah.
Man.
Dad joke to the
clever,
extreme.
clever person on Twitter.
State Department medical incidents reported among U.S. diplomats to Cuba are unprecedented. Haven't seen this type of activity anywhere.
They say they haven't seen it anywhere, but everyone's posting the whales.
Well, we've seen
if
it in
that
Wales,
is-
but no one cares about the whales. But when it's a U.S. diplomat,
That's true.
oh man!
I mean, I actually care
Get
more
those
about
prices
whales than U.S. diplomats. Just saying.
I mean, they did save the world in Star Trek 5, I think.
Whales?
Yeah. It's like one of my favorite ones. I don't know
I
if it's
actually
5.
do
It's
really.
The Voyage Home. Come on. They like go back in time and this alien giant sphere thing like is playing whale songs at like a super sped up rate, and then they have to go back in time and like bring a whale back to the 24th century, and because it's the only thing that can communicate with this alien, and yeah, it was gonna like
fascinating.
fuck the world up.
Did you guys? Oh, sorry, what were you saying?
I cursed.
And what was it gonna? Just read it.
Well, they had to go
Okay.
back in time, bring a whale into the future of the 24th century so that it could communicate with this alien, because it was like ruining the planet. Because all it wanted to talk with was the whales. It was basically the whole.
I saw that
premise of the movie was just
recently
like-
scientists figured out that whales, what was it? It was something about the way they communicate. They can identify each other. They have a sonic signature in their sound. So like that's how they, whenever they make their noises, they have their like identity within the thing.
Could you imagine if that's how you had to introduce yourself to your friends? Just,
I'm just getting this image of like Finding Nemo where Dory was trying to communicate with that
oh
whale.
yeah.
Hello.
No, I'm gonna really look up this like this more of this. I need to know. This is fascinating, actually. That this is like a thing.
So, kind of related to that, did you guys ever play Echo the Dolphin as a kid?
Oh my gosh, terrifying.
I didn't realize it had a plot until just recently, where like you are a dolphin and then you end up in space, and then there's aliens. Like apparently your dolphin friends got abducted.
Oh, yeah.
Sega?
Do you know
It was
where
Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
where it came, like the whole plot and stuff?
No, I have no idea. I didn't even know it had a plot until like a week ago.
Yeah. No, dude, it's like so the game creator, like, I don't know, he did a bunch of LSD and was studying about this phenomenon with the scientists. What is his name? It's John. What is it? John C.
Riley.
Riley, right? Is that it? Yeah, John C. Riley? No.
Oh man, I was hoping you'd fall for that.
Well, no, the guy's name is John C. It's something, man. It's Jack Ulidoff. And,
Save the dolphins. I'm sorry. We're talking about dolphins. I'm sorry if anyone that's an animal sympathizer is listening in, but I've always had this urge to just punch a dolphin right in the head.
you're cruel.
Why dolphins?
Because I think it would make the funniest noise known to man. Like, if you recorded
man.
that noise,
That's so horrible.
not even just like my fist, like it would.
Dolphin punch!
Because their skin is just like a rubbery basket or something. It would make noise, and then the dolphin itself would just be like,
No, the guy's name is John C. Lilly. Right?
I was close.
John C. Lilly. So he was like a neuroscientist dude, and he was hired by, I think NASA gave him like some odd $1 million
Oh, it
to
looks like he was involved in
teach
SETI too.
dolphins. Yeah, he was involved in SETI. He was a weird guy. He was given all this money to teach dolphins to communicate with us and learn English. So they gave him this huge budget, and it was weird. He had this compound with a bunch of these dolphins, and they were running all these tests, and stuff got really weird. There was like some girl that showed up on the site one day and just was really into dolphins, heard about them, and she became a researcher, and she actually ended up like working with one of the dolphins that she was like her English teacher. But what the dolphin ended up doing is they separated from the females, became really sexually attracted to her.
I remember this. Like she flooded her whole like apartment so that you could just like swim around.
Their compound to do it, and she was just like, I had to like sexually please the dolphins so we could all get on with their English lessons. And I'm like, I'm not teaching that dolphin anything, dude. It's just there to. But anyways, it got really weird because he started like giving the dolphins LSD and like he started doing really horrible because it got shut down eventually because they had like no results. I mean, they were literally able to.
Who could have predicted that?
They were actually, you know what? I'm gonna splice it right now. The clip because they taught it to actually like say things in English, but it wasn't understood.
Oh yeah.
Here it is right now.
Hello. Hello. Clearly, Peter.
Yeah, so it's speaking English, but it was just they taught it just to make the vowels and sounds and consonants. But the guy that was researching it just got really into it because John Lilly, he was a weird guy. He was like addicted to ketamine, did a lot of ketamine, and he would go into flotation chambers and like he was convinced he was contacted by extraterrestrials, and that's where Echo comes from because the name of terrestrials that he was talking to, he claimed that they said that they were, the abbreviation is ECCO, and it's Earth, what is it? Let's look it up. It's
Earth Coincidence Control Office right there.
Coincidence Control Office, whatever that means.
Yeah, I have no idea what that means, but it finally explains why that was spelled wrong.
Let's see here on the Wikipedia. He states there exist 9 conditions which should be followed by humans who seek to experience coincidences in their own lives. You must know, this is number 1, you must know, assume, simulate our existence in echo. 2, you must be willing to accept the responsibility for control of your coincidences.
What?
3, you must exert your best capabilities for your survival programs and your own development. As an advancing / member of ECHO's Earthside Corps of Controlled Coincidence Workers, you're expected to use your best intelligence in this service. The list goes on, and it's all ridiculous. It's all the same stuff.
It's something you would definitely expect from a guy who does a lot of ketamine
and tries to give LSD to dolphins.
And apparently they got a grant to try to talk with the dolphins.
I remember reading something interesting though. He had some nerve damage. I don't know. It's something where something with the spine that caused him to have a lot of like migraines or something.
So that's probably having started on the
whatever
ketamine.
You want to say to get
ketamine.
A bunch of ketamine.
He was able to visualize like some part of his spine and his body and like fix it, and he said the pain would go away.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's why he's addicted to it because it's the only thing that like. Let him feel.
Helped him get into that sort of
like,
gnosis state.
Which I know that's interesting in itself, but he eventually like got shut down and then had dolphins like he still kept experiments going, had them like tiny cramp things, and he ended up getting criticized heavily for it. But he actually ended up spearheading one of the like because he felt horrible. He realized what he did. He ended up spearheading like wildlife rescue and like so that's it. Ends up being a good story.
So apparently he also was the one who developed the first isolation tank, which makes sense because he likes flotation tanks. Yeah. So if any of you guys enjoy Stranger Things, you have apparently
called it REST.
John Lilly
Restricted Environmental Simulation Technique.
The show?
Yeah.
Oh my god, so good.
Because they have the isolation tank in there, or sensory deprivation tank.
That's right. Yeah.
I think that's what this city needs. We don't have any, like, I think the closest one is in Dayton or something.
The sensory deprivation tanks?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
We could probably build one, right?
Yeah, I can build it.
I've looked into plans. You just have to have something that can keep the water like a lukewarm temperature. You got to have like a certain mix of salt or something to keep you floating.
Yeah, to keep you floating.
And then seal it off enough, like acoustically and visually, like with light. And
yeah, because the visual thing's easy. You just need like a helmet.
We'll have the isolation chamber, and then we'll have the dolphin punching center. Those of you who want that avenue of release, also.
I think you're on your own in that one.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, Dan.
I bet that if we had it,
I bet Pete would be really upset.
Well, it wouldn't be it would be a simulation chamber. It wouldn't be a real dolphin.
A dolphin punching simulator. I bet that's on Steam if you look it up.
I mean, there's Goat Simulator, so why not Dolphin Punching Simulator? That might be part of Goat Simulator, actually.
Wait, Goat Simulator.
You don't know Goat Simulator?
I know what it is.
We're gonna show Dan. Goat Simulator. And
I've seen it, and every time I immediately try to forget it because
people
Never
at
forget.
Home, look up Goat
Never
Simulator
forget.
on YouTube.
Never
Goat
forget.
Simulator
Don't do that.
2017.
So what I loved about this game is all of the things that I was like, I wonder if I can do this. Woo. Everything that I wondered, can you do this in this game? You totally can. My first instinct was, hey, there's a bunch of people around. Can I sacrifice them? And you totally can. And then I became a demon goat, and it was great.
What? You can sacrifice people?
Yeah. Yeah, that was my first instinct in that game.
Footage of Goat Simulator.
So you're a goat?
Yeah, you're a goat.
This
You're
is
a
Dan's
goat.
reaction. So look, see, you're a goat. See, this goat's chasing this guy down.
Oh, now
Yeah,
you
there's
got a
Now
jetpacks.
he's got a jetpack, and he is way up there.
You're done.
And
From what
there's like Tony Hawk Pro Skater style point system going on.
Yeah.
Here. Yeah, there's tricks. Airtime
Yeah.
easy completed.
So from what I'm aware, this started out as like sort of a physics simulator, and they were like, "How are we gonna test this out?" So they just made like,
It's climbing, it's climbing a ladder, but it's
Climbing with its head.
its head is just
well, they
getting
made
mangled.
this like theoretically for like a human player, but then they were like, "What if you were a goat?"
Fun
Peers, we're out of time. It's been fun talking about a range from Mothman to Dolphins to demon drugs and all the things in between Goat Simulators.
Local legends.
Yeah, I'm Jordan Davis, and I'm here with. What's your name?
Dan Dickershide.
Yes, and.
And Kelsey McLaughlin.
Oh, yeah, that's us. Thanks for listening, guys,
That's it.
and
Thank you.
tune in
To our next
for
episode.
some more episodes. We'll be interviewing local musicians and touring musicians in the area.
And I think we were talking about our next episode maybe doing a seance. So.
We might do a
We
seance.
should do a seance. Orange Turk.
Strangle talk.
Strangle talk.
Strange talk.